it doesn't really matter. Where I had a 70% or 80% of total attribution towards the email marketing, that pop-up is such a big driver of your total attributed revenues for that business to be able to be successful.
Me personally, I'm really bothered by pop-ups.
Maybe you do so, but there's 5 to 10% of your traffic that doesn't. This is revenue what it can deliver you. Because the main reason that you will get into the spam inbox is if you're sending a lot of unengaged people. You for sure going to have a lot of issues with emails not being delivered anymore. If this happens too much, then the inboxes can even say like, hey, all the emails from this domain we don't accept anymore.
We've got problems. Hello and welcome to episode number 9 of the Marketer podcast, first season. We are here with Luc de Bruin. Did I say this right? Almost right?
Almost. So yeah, thanks so much for having me, Cosmin. Looking forward to chat.
Thank you for sharing your time. Luc is the email marketing specialist from the Netherlands, and he goes really deep, and I plan to go really deep on some topics like attribution of email marketing, because it's important for us to know what is the impact of our efforts in email marketing in total sales revenue of our customers, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's dig right in as we got our audience accustomed with the attribution topic. Could you share your insights on how should we track attribution of email marketing, and how are the differences, from your opinion, between what we see in the email marketing tool versus what we see in Google Analytics 4?
So attribution is one of you're really kicking it off with one of the most talked about topics in email marketing. And a lot of times I hear email marketers and marketers in general say like, hey, we need X% of our email marketing attributed to Klaviyo or the other email marketing tool that you're using, because that is what we're aiming for.
Mhm.
But it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't, because I've seen accounts where I had a 70% or 80% of total attribution towards the email marketing, and they weren't growing. And I've had 10 to 11% of attributed revenue to email marketing, and they were going through the roof, literally, like almost doubling every single month.
Wow. Is it somehow connected to the customer journey and number of touch points?
So it's connected to a few things. So first of all, it's connected to the market that you're in and the product that you're offering.
Give us some examples. Yeah.
So for example, you have a really a one-time purchase. So I have one client of mine. They are in the design beds. So a bed there costs easily around 2 to 3K euro. To have your
design what? Sorry, I didn't get that.
Designer bed, like a bed to sleep in.
Bed. Designer bed. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So designer bed. And it's easily like 2 to 3K. But before people actually make the decision to buy a bed, they might visit your website, see the pop-up. We have like a lead form there where they subscribe to get like a color sample of the bed, like they get like a steel frame. They maybe want to visit the showroom. They might open a few emails, and then they decide to buy. But
then who is to be blamed for this
Yeah,
service.
so you have a really high attribution to Klaviyo, but there's so many more touch points in that whole customer journey. So what I always recommend is um, really understand the market that you're in. So especially for lower priced products, the attribution to Klaviyo is sometimes easier to
Look, uh,
facilitate than the higher, or like more difficult to facilitate than the higher priced items, due to the reason that people don't have a long wait time to purchase. They don't have a lot of decision time because they're like, yeah, I need this, I want this, and it's just $50. Let me get this at this price.
mhm,
So sometimes I even have my roommate. He even says like, if there's a pop up for 10%, I often don't even fill it in because I just want to get my product. So
mhm.
because some people think it's a hassle, and if you look at and that's like the second thing, if you look at total attribution and you turn off your pop-up with your welcome offer and your welcome flow, then often your whole attribution towards your email marketing like halves, or like even like one third less in total, because that pop-up is such a big driver of your total attributed revenue towards your email marketing. So there's a lot of factors that go in towards the percentage of total revenue out of your email marketing. And there's not like a right or wrong, but there is a wrong way to communicate with clients about this, because I think that you should always explain how it works to clients, explain what the implications of the attributed revenue towards your email uh, have on the actions that you do. So, for example, if you it's really easy to attain a high revenue out of your email marketing if you fire up a pop-up with a discount they hadn't have on the website before. But there's also obviously a lot of other reasons around it. And what I always would suggest is we look at the channel, so email marketing, and we look inside of the platform to see like, hey, are we maximizing the value we get out of this platform? And then also have like a more business attribution model. And you can do this with, for example, a triple whale, or there's other great tools that help you get like, like basically a data model to see how your sales are attributed across your marketing mix.
I see. So you are sometimes using alternative tools for tracking attribution versus
Yeah.
Google Analytics.
Yeah, and so it's basically not for me, but it's for them, like mostly like the owner and the Facebook ad performance, to really see, hey, what was the impact of this channel, of this channel, of this channel. And yeah, you can also do this in Google Analytics, of course, but to really go to a baseline, like, hey, this is approximately the real value that this channel brought in, to look for like basically a point zero.
Could you share some examples of revenue driven from email marketing per industry? You said designer beds and maybe cheaper products, €50. Share some examples, some percentages, please.
Yeah, so for example, for the designer beds, it's it's not strange to have like attributed revenue of around 50 to 60% from the email marketing. So that's basically what I see. And I have another one, the other clients, they are like in the cold therapy, ice baths, selling ice baths and ice tubs. And for them it's the same. It's basically also like a ice bath that you can put in your garden. Really fast, they are really fast growing, but at the same time people have a very long time before they make the decision, maybe 60 or 90 days before they decide, yes, I really want to make this purchase. Like one of these baths, they're not cheap, they're around 5 to 6k euro.
Hmm.
So
How do you track? How
they,
would you know the customer journey duration, 60 to 90 days, for example?
So that's something I often talk about with the founders. So founders or the marketing managers, I talk to them, hey, what do you see across the board when somebody first came in and they purchased? And normally they know this. But if they don't know, I have to dig in the numbers a little bit deeper. But I think we can go into that process another time. But I would also always suggest to ask the founders, because they have a very clear understanding of where they can look for these numbers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience in more, let's say, simpler industries like
Yeah,
t-shirts?
for sure.
How long does it make take me to make up my mind to buy a t-shirt or another?
So what is really depends is as well is how your traffic structure works.
Mhm.
Where are you acquiring your customers? So, for example, a lot of times I see Facebook and Google Ads, and
Yep.
Google Ads is more like a demand-driven platform. So that means that people come already on your website with a certain intention. So if they already have this intention and that demand is met on your website and it has a good offer, then like it can go very fast that they make the decision. And on Facebook, it's the same thing. Well, on Facebook, it's more demand creation, of course, but it's the same thing. But if you go a little bit back, like to what industries have which attribution models, I think that's the underlying topic here. So I see that, for example, the more replenishment brands, I think
Mhm.
for those brands, the email marketing also can attribute a lot of revenue towards the total revenue, because there's a lot of things and a lot of programs that you can roll out to make sure that one, people buy from you, but the other one understand the value, start using your product, and then make sure that they buy it again,
They
basically,
come back.
after they're finished with their other product. And for the more one-time products, it's more difficult to get this percentage up. If for the lower priced categories, but then you should really focus on cross and upselling. That's
So you're saying that basically, if you have high repeat purchase, like in food industry, for example, in FMCG, in groceries, then
yeah.
email is showing to drive revenue, but also in high ticket items.
No,
Uh,
so that's no. So it's not drying repeat, like in high tickets items is different, but
mhm.
that's um, that's the exemption, because if you have a high ticket item, your attributed revenue is high. But it doesn't mean, and obviously email is then important, but it's also because people always uh, try to find like some offers, some discounts. So they try to get on your list. They wait maybe a little bit before the best offer comes, and then they decide to buy. Because if there's way more to win for them to wait longer, especially what
Definitely.
you also see in the higher ticket items, is that during Black Friday, these go extremely well, because then they know they have the best price, so they can save the most. Well,
Mhm.
if it's only an item of, let's say, 20, 30 euro, maybe a little bit more, and they get like the best offer, the difference between the best offer and a good offer might just be minimal. While for the higher ticket items, it might save you a few €100.
Yep,
So
definitely.
that can be worth the wait, so to say.
Indeed, indeed. For low item, if we give 10%, low value items, if we give 10%, they might say, okay, doesn't really matter. Yeah.
No, and then that 10 versus 20% or 30% is still not maybe worth to wait a little bit longer for them.
Mhm.
For
Indeed.
example, Black Friday.
Could you share some insights regarding lead generation and how does this go along with email marketing
Yeah,
for
sure.
service industries, I'm guessing?
So, well, lead generation is very is one of the most important things of email marketing, and it has to do with the fact that you want a healthy list growth, because as you're like sending more campaigns, your list will deteriorate and a lot of people will unsubscribe and will go off your list and become unengaged, which makes your total list shrink basically. But there's a few ways to grow your list, and to grow your list is one, through lead generation, through to new customers, and those are like basically there's like a few side notes to this, but those are like the biggest two that will add to the growth of your total list. And to make sure that your list grows, I will always first focus on lead generation. And there's like a few things that you should always take into consideration. There's the pop-ups, and there's the other forms on the website. And the pop-ups, that's always something that you have to discuss early in the collaboration with a new client, because this can have one of the biggest impacts of the whole email marketing strategy. Because what you're going to tell there in the pop-up has to translate towards and make sense for that business to be able to be successful.
Definitely. But how would you give a solid argument to a customer who says, me personally, I'm really bothered by pop-ups, so I never want to have pop-ups on my webshop?
Yeah, good one. I basically showed up the numbers. So because the thing with the pop-ups and the lead generation, so I've had pop-ups converting from like a subscription rate that people who see the pop-up actually fill it in, like 5 to 10, the highest even at 15% of cold traffic. So the nice thing about these pop-ups is that you will recognize people not only in your welcome flow, and obviously they will get the welcome flow, but also will trigger the browse abandonment flow, the cart abandonment flow, and the checkout abandonment flow if they haven't finished filling in their email address.
Mhm.
So you will actually make sure that you send more volume in the pre-purchase phase, which will then as like a result drive up conversion rate, because you're sending more and more reminders and better reminders to people who you've just noticed that are in this pre-purchase phase and like are discovering. And if your pre-purchase flows, so the browse, cart, and checkout, are structured correctly, then they get super relevant content, super transactional driven, and your welcome flow, which they also get like the brand story and the bestsellers, and tackle objections of uh, the problems that the customer might experience. So you actually increase your volume when you have a good and solid pop-up. So if like the customer asks me like, hey, I don't like the pop-up, I always click it away, I say, hey, maybe you do so, but there's 5 to 10% of your traffic that doesn't, and this is what it can
This is revenue for you.
this is revenue what it can deliver you, basically. Or like if you want to scale harder, this is a very solid strategy to make sure that you get the most out of your advertising euros.
Definitely. Now, a quick question that came to my attention just today, and I wanted to share it with you, and maybe together we can find an answer, is regarding spam topic.
Yeah.
So I see two areas of spam. The emails that we all get without being subscribed to that email list, which is obviously spam, obviously not okay, and not gonna even touch it. But
Yeah.
I'm interested in the spam that arrives in our subscriber inbox, but not in inbox, but in the spam folder.
Yeah.
How can we deal with that?
So let me start with topic one. Topic one is actually, like if you're doing inbound marketing and people don't subscribe, you should obviously never send them an email, because yeah, there are softwares on the market right now that can find your email address, put it into your Klaviyo account, and then you can send emails based on just browser behavior without anybody or made a purchase or filled in a form. So I very much yeah, make sure that you're not doing that.
That is on the obviously
Yeah,
fraud
it's like
area. But on
yeah,
the normal areas, like
yes,
she did really subscribe, but
exactly.
our
Yeah, so there's a few things that can be underlying, right? So first of all, you gotta make sure that you're on a dedicated sending domain from Klaviyo, or like
or
the
any other platform, because
or any
where
other platform. Exactly. So have a branded domain. Um, make sure, on the other hand, that you have all like the best practices. So DKIM, SPF, DMARC, and basically all of the backend stuff that can prevent you from being a safe sender from the inbox. On the other hand, you want to make sure that you're only sending to engaged audiences, and that
but then
basically,
let me quickly interrupt you here. How can we then re-engage some dormant
yeah,
audience?
I've been giving this some thought lately as well, because I always am a very firm uh, um, believer that you should, like if you want to scale up your email marketing, you should also send to more people. That can be two ways. You can send more segmented to more people, like more often, or you can send more to more people, right? Like if you send, for example, 3 campaigns a week and you send them to 100,000 people, then you send 300,000 emails, campaigns, like deliveries
Yeah.
a week. But you can also say like, hey, I want to send 6 emails a week, but I want to segment it a little bit better so that I can still send 600,000 emails, but certain people get certain emails, what makes it more relevant, and you're not like spamming them. Because the main reason that you will get into the spam inbox is if you're sending a lot of unengaged people. And unengaged people are basically people who haven't opened or engaged with your emails in the last, let's say, 180 days, 120 days.
180. I would have said 90, but 180 is yeah
90
really.
is also possible. It depends a little bit how many emails they've received. So,
Mhm.
um, but you can make also some sub segments in that field. And then what I also recommend, but that is not what you should do all the time, is that if, for example, you have a sale coming up, like a really big summer sale, then you want to make sure that it's a very good offer, maybe the best offer until Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You can do just the first email to your full base, because the biggest problem with these engagement audiences is if you're never sending to the unengaged audiences, then you will most probably only decreasing the amount of emails that you'll be sending uh, in a monthly basis. But you're also not giving them an opportunity to engage again, to become
Yes.
engaged again.
Yeah.
And that's one of a really big issue I see in a lot of accounts. And sometimes they have like 300,000 people on the list, and they're only sending to like 50,000 people at the same time. And I'm like, okay, but there's like a really big opportunity here to make sure that some old like non-engagers become engaged again, so that they can receive emails again.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we keep our engaged audience, subscribers, with more regular newsletters, and we try to re-engage the dormant ones with
Just
once in a year or twice in a
yeah.
year super promo.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, you can do a little bit more often. I would say like every 1 or 2 months. But
Mhm.
if you do this too often and you don't segment the unengagers, you for sure going to have a lot of issues along the way with emails not being delivered anymore, and yeah, if this happens too much, then the inboxes can even say like, hey, all the emails from this domain we don't accept anymore. And then you have a lot of explaining to do to your client.
Then you've got problems.
Yeah.
Regarding segmentation, could you share like your top three segmentation criteria that you got results with, and what did you send them per segment?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I think there's only like especially if you're like starting out, there's only a few really good segments that you should use. So there's customers, there's leads. So customers placed order equals 1. A leads, so that's placed order equals 0. There's win back customers, so hasn't placed an order in the last 90 or 180 days.
Mhm.
And then is, yeah, like I think if you focus on these three with the right exclusion audiences, then you can really make sure that yeah, that you can target your content based on these. So for example,
Yeah, for example, I like the for example part.
nice. So for example, what you want to do is if you have a really good deal. So for example, I have one client and they are in the cooking pans category, like in the cooking category. They sell like a set of pans for your kitchen.
Yeah.
But what we saw is because they always focus on the one set, but we saw, for example, that the loose pans, so just one pan, was really well converting for leads. So what we
Because of
did,
marketing power of, or why? Because of need. They just needed one, not the whole set.
maybe, so that's something that we can ask them actually in like a
Mhm.
form. But that could be one of the reasons. But we could also think it's maybe that they only like one feature of the whole set. So
Mhm.
they only like the big one, or they only like the fact that it has like a detachable handle, which is nice.
Yeah,
So exactly, but
it's
then
connected to life events, right? Because you would get a set when you get married, but you just get one pen when you need one pen, one more, right?
exactly, and then you can think about, hey, how can we make sure that the certain segments get certain emails. But what I always recommend as well is if you see that if you see, for example, in the audience breakdown report where you can see per segment how it performed, then you can actually say like, oh, this one flow did it really good for lead. So this one email did really well for leads. Let's add this email as like an evergreen campaign in
Hmm.
welcome flow. That
Yeah,
way, this email is super well performing. And now every single lead that comes into the account after a certain amount of days, they get this email. And if they don't convert, they're like in the normal box.
yeah,
So
totally makes sense.
and you can do the same for your customer segment. So if you see like first time customers, yeah, well, like if there's like first time customers and you send like and you put this segment into your audience breakdown, and you see that for first time customers this is a really well performing email, you can put this specific email after, for example, 30 days in your first time customer flow, and then you have again a really well performing email going on autopilot.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
And it's the same for win-back segments.
Hmm.
And this way you're leveraging your campaigns into and you're feeding your automations. So in the end,
Yeah,
you're building really a system that converts, basically.
we have 1 more minute left in our
Awesome.
discussion. Could you share like three tips that you would have for doing better automation flows?
3 tips for better automation flows. Okay, first of all, make sure you're using the filters correctly. So it should be logical. And the biggest things, what like it should feel like a logical customer journey. That means welcome flow, pre-purchase flow, thank you flow, win back flow, and people should not be in these at the same time. So
Along the customer journey. Yeah.
exactly, know the customer journey and handle accordingly. Then track, like see, like click on the customer who just made like 30 days ago a purchase, and check how many emails they've received. So see which emails they are receiving, and this is really easy to spot like gaps inside of your email marketing system.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good one. And lastly, yeah, just think about make it non-standard. I mean, it's really easy to fall into the trap like this is your card misses you. But I think you can get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, it gets boring.
Yes, it gets boring, but especially like if you're doing this as a business owner yourself, try to include like personal photos of yourself and try to make it feel really like yourself.
Human.
Yeah,
One last question.
sure.
In a welcome flow, would you rather send top sellers versus our history, our brand history, our founder history, versus answers to FAQs?
Uh, I wouldn't choose. I would put them all in. So because but you make separate emails and make sure that you start with the thing that you think has most value. I always start with the story. I think people connect to stories, and is one of the biggest, yeah, also drivers of word of mouth advertising. And that's the whole dark funnel that you will never see, but is also partly driven by email marketing.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. Could you share with our audience where they can reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. On LinkedIn would be best, I guess. Just send me a connection request and listen to podcast. That would be amazing. Tell me what you thought about it.
Thank you so much, Luke.
Yes. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot, Cosmin. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers.